Well, here we are on session number 5. Hopefully, you've done your homework, you've done the exercises, and in your vision mapping journals, you've listed the most important areas of your life, and you've prioritized those areas. Now becomes the fun part, because what we're going to do today is we're actually going to learn the vision mapping process and how to apply it to the business side of our life, the professional side of our life, and the personal side of our life. So we can apply it wherever you have an important area, an important project, an important dream, goal, vision. So we're going to focus on that today. We're going to show you how to do that a little bit later. We're going to show some nice examples. And some of the people here, we're going to work through vision mapping some of their dreams. So we're going to have fun. But before we do that, I want to tell you some more stories. And the reason I tell you stories is because by nature, we are full of doubts. By the time we get out of high school, we've heard the word no, and you can't do this at least 50,000 times from parents, siblings, friends, teachers. And although we don't remember facts real easy, we do remember stories, and we remember pictures and things we visualize. And so when I share these concepts, I like to share the stories because that's what's going to go right down into your heart. And when you really feel like, no, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm not good enough, you're going to remember a story. And you're going to remember how somebody just like you did something that was impossible. And that's going to give you the encouragement. Well, yesterday we talked about a few people who had made their impossible dreams come true. Ray Kroc, after he met with the McDonald's brothers, gained a vision, a clear and precise vision for having McDonald's on every street corner in America. Wonderful vision. John D. Rockefeller, he was that 10-cent an hour bookkeeper that couldn't get a raise no matter how hard he tried for 3 years. He got a vision for what he could do in the oil business, even though he knew nothing about the oil business, nothing about refining. He didn't have deep pockets, he didn't have money, but he gained a clear and precise vision. Thomas Edison, that first grade dropout, got a vision for creating an electric light bulb, even though much more capable scientists and engineers had spent over 50 years trying to create one. But he got a clear and precise vision. 3 men, 3 visions, and 3 out of 3 accomplished their incredible visions. Okay? However, every year, millions of adults have a dream. Millions of adults have good ideas. They have visions for something they want to accomplish in their life. And yet we're lucky if 1 out of 1,000 actually accomplish those visions. So what did these 3 guys know? Why 3 out of 3 here and 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 over here? Well, the difference is gaining the vision is the first step, but it's only the first step. There's then a process to translate that vision into practical goals, steps, and tasks. And that's what the vision mapping process does. So that's what we're going to do today. Now imagine for a moment, we used the analogy yesterday that our dreams are like destinations on a map. Okay, and they're all over America. We live out here, we live in the Rocky Mountains, but we have some dreams that are in New York, and some in Atlanta, Georgia, some in San Francisco. And most of the world is relegated, most of the adult world is relegated to walking toward their dreams. So they've got this wonderful dream 3,000 miles away, but all they have are shoes. And to walk 3,000 miles, if you walk at a good pace, 8 hours a day, it takes you 6 months if you walk seven days a week. Okay? So most people, therefore, give up on their dreams 1 or 2 miles into it. It's just too far. Too many mountain ranges, too many rivers. But at the same time, we said superachievers have a turbocharged Porsche in their garage. And we're going to pretend that there's one straight superhighway that goes all the way from where we are right now to our most distant dream. And that Porsche has a top speed of 180 miles an hour, but we're only going to travel 160 miles an hour on that superhighway. That means you can get to your destinations not in 6 months, but in less than a day, about 20 hours. Okay, that's the power of these strategies. Now, superachievers that use the Porsche, see, they're not afraid to have impossible dreams that are 3,000 miles away because they know how they have the power to get there. Whereas other people that are relegated to walking shoes, they don't even look 3,000 miles away. In fact, they don't look beyond their own neighborhood because they don't like to walk. And those dreams, those wonderful dreams, instead of just a mediocre marriage, I want the best marriage in my city. I want a wife that is so happy to have me as a husband that every single day of her life, she's just a grateful spirit. And people walk around and say, why are you so happy? Oh man, if you were married to him, you'd be happy too, because he just makes my life. That's what I want my wife to have. Well, I'm the only one, me and God, are the only two that can really give that to her, okay, in a marriage. But if that's one of those destinations 3,000 miles away, I'm never going to get there walking. I'm never going to get there doing what everybody else does. I have to do something different. I have to do something effective, and I have to do something that's effectively efficient because we have the problem of time. I don't want my wife to finally realize on her deathbed that I'm a good husband. I want her to realize it right now, every single day. However long we have left, I want her to be grateful. Because you know what? We've now discovered the single most important quality for improving your health, for helping to prevent diseases of aging, to get faster recovery in a hospital from injuries, surgeries, and so on. The single most important quality that contributes that to your immune system is the attitude of gratefulness more than anything else. You're not grateful, you're going to have health problems sooner or later. You're going to die younger. Taking suicide out of the picture, mortality rates for unhappy people are double the mortality rates of happy people. That's a Harvard study that came out this year. Okay? So it's important that we use these strategies not just in business, not just to make money, not just to have a better career and a better job, but we use them in our personal life as well. Because if you're super successful and you're miserable at home, then life's not worth very much. It really isn't. Because I've been there, and I know a lot of guys who have been there. But it's wonderful to have a fulfilling and loving relationship with a spouse, wonderful relationships with your kids, and be successful at the same time. That's really enjoyable. Okay, so now, the vision mapping process, it's actually like two things in that Porsche. It's the GPS system. It gives you the destination, just like a road atlas. GPS is a system I have in all of my cars because I get lost so easily because I'm always talking either on the phone or to other people. And so I end up in places that I don't even know where I am, and that's in my hometown. See? Really, seriously. In fact, we drive over to my mother-in-law's house usually, many times a year, and I still make wrong turns every single time when there are people in the car. That's how absent-minded I am. But I've got this wonderful GPS system in all of our cars that tells me right where I am, and it tells me audibly, the girl in the thing says, okay, turn at the next right, turn at the next left, prepare to turn 800 yards or 800 feet. I mean, it just always gets me there. Well, the vision mapping system is like that GPS. It sets out your destination so you know where you're going. It's got a wonderful roadmap to get there, but it's also, and this is the surprise, it's the engine. It is what provides the power to get there. And why is that? Because a wonderful thing happens. We said yesterday that the vision mapping process is real simple. It takes a vision, a destination, converts it into specific goals. We then convert those goals into steps, and we convert any complex step into tasks. Now, when we complete that first task of the first step, it infuses us with a fuel that we're going to learn about a little later called hope. Now, this is an important definition. You want to write this down. Hope is not a wish. That's what we think of as hope. Oh, I hope I can make $1 million. I hope I can take a vacation this year. I hope my boss recognizes me. I hope I get a raise. Those are wishes. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about hope. True hope is the well-founded, confident belief that that which I have purposed to do, I will be able to do within a reasonable amount of time. Now, the most important words in there are a well-founded, confident belief. Well-founded means I have a reason to believe it in the first place. Now, I can say, I hope my boss will give me a raise, but do I know that I really deserve one? Is the company doing well enough to give me a raise? Am I doing better than everybody around me? See? Well, unless I know those things, that's just a wish. That's a dream. It's nothing. Okay? But if my boss said, Steve, if you do this, this, and this, and you accomplish this, this, and this, and our company has a great year, you're going to get a raise. And then I know I not only accomplished each bar that he set for me, but I went way beyond that, and I've now accomplished them all. Now I have a well-founded belief and confident belief that that which was promised is going to be achieved. See? So that becomes a true hope. What happens in the vision mapping process is you complete that first task of the first step. And you go, wow, I did it. And you do another one, and you do another one, and pretty soon you've completed 3 or 4 steps. And now you've just completed your first goal. Holy mackerel, look at where I came from. I'm getting closer. Okay? Think about when you were a child and you go on driving vacations. 2 hours into the vacation, you say, are we almost there? 2 hours and 15 minutes, are we almost there? 2 hours and 30 minutes, are we almost there? And each time your parent says no, you lose hope. You don't even have hope, right? But when your parent finally says, we're going to be there in 5 minutes, whoa! See, now there's hope. It's really going to happen. We're going to see my best friends or my relatives. We're almost at Disneyland, see? A well-founded, confident belief. With each step that we take in the vision mapping process, with each goal that we accomplish as we get closer to our dream, it creates this incredible fuel called hope that then powers us to take the next step, powers us to complete the next task. Every task we complete creates power in our spirit, in our emotions, in our heart, in the core of who we are. It gives us that power to then take the next step and complete the next task. So the vision mapping process, is it important? It's only as important as a map and as an engine is in a car. And the fact is, that's about how most people go through life. Okay? They may have a nice car on the outside, but they don't have any engine. If you don't have the vision mapping process, you can have dreams, you can have hopes that aren't really hopes. You can have wishes, but you're never going to get there. You're not going to have a destination, you're not going to have a map, and you're not going to have the power. This changes all of that. Okay, so here's the 6th law of extraordinary success. Dreams without clearly defined goals and goals without clearly defined steps will never be achieved expeditiously or efficiently and will rarely be achieved at all. So master strategy number 4 is using the vision mapping process of setting and achieving goals. You don't use it just as a map. Someday I'll go there. You use it to actually achieve progress, to achieve the goals. Okay, so that's strategy number 4. Now, for nearly 30 years, people have been bringing me and our company ideas and products. We sell products on TV. If ever you've seen Chuck Norris and Christy Brinkley on a piece of fitness equipment called the Total Gym, that's one of our companies. If you ever saw Cher selling a hair care product, that was one of our companies. If you ever heard Richard Simmons saying, "Hi, I'm Richard Simmons," okay, and he's selling you Dill-A-Mill or Sweatin' to the Oldies, those were some of our products. If you ever saw Jane Fonda on a treadmill, if you ever heard Tom Selleck, Charlton Heston talking about a magazine, all those things are things my company has done. So over the years, over the last 30 years, we've literally had thousands of products brought to us by wishful and hopeful inventors. They all had visions of what they wanted to achieve. Some had very clear and precise visions. Others, they were a lot more vague, but they all had visions. Well, guess what? Less than 1 out of every 1,000 products we saw, we actually took on as a project. What's the difference between the few we would take on and the ones we wouldn't? Well, the ones we did, of course, we had to believe in, but we caught the vision. But it takes so much more than just a vision. You've got to map it out. Let me give you an example. There was a makeup artist in California. She created a wonderful base foundation, a makeup, and she had it in about 16 different colors, so it can match any skin tone. And she tried to take it out to stores and stuff, but after 8 years, she had a garage full of product, and she had one little drugstore in North Hollywood carrying the product. Okay, that's all a vision does for you. It just creates a destination. It doesn't do anything else. She came to us, and the first thing I did after we met was I went back to our production office and I started to vision map it. And instead of just one product, I figured out with the makeup artist how we could turn it into a whole line of products and how we could make it so unique that people would actually be willing to buy makeup off TV. See, until then, nobody had successfully sold makeup on TV direct to the consumer. They had sold skincare products, but everybody said, that's impossible, you can't do it. Why? Because it's color. And women need to be able to match the color of their skin. They have to experiment with them. They have to see what looks good. You'll never be able to sell a lipstick or a foundation or an eyeshadow or a blush on TV. But we created a vision map. Well, a vision map didn't just give us a destination. It boiled it right down to specific goals, steps, and tasks that we knew we had to take. We took those steps, we achieved those goals, and we sold $300 million worth of Victoria Jackson cosmetics in 5 years. See, that's the power of a vision map. Richard Simmons, when I met Richard Simmons, I actually took a product to him. And I said, Richard, I've got this great product. Let me show you how it works. It's an exercise product. He saw it, he liked it. He said, I like it, I'll do it if you want me to, but let me show you a product I've created. And I said, okay. So he runs off into the kitchen, comes back. We're at his house, and he's got a Ziploc bag with a bunch of colored pieces of construction paper in it that are cut, and an instruction sheet. And I said, what's that? And he goes, I call it Dill-A-Mill. And I said, okay, well, what's Dill-A-Mill? And he says, it's the first way people can lose weight without counting calories. And I go, really? He says, yeah, they never have to count another calorie. You see, you get a different color piece of paper for each type of food. And you only get so many of each type. So you get browns for meats, you get greens for veggies, you get, and he went through each color. And then you take them out of the bag as you eat, and pretty soon you don't have any of certain colors left, and you can only eat what's left in the bag as far as the colors. I said, Richard, that's the most brilliant idea I have ever heard for losing weight. I said, it's genius. Forget the product I brought. But we can't sell a Ziploc bag with cut pieces of construction paper and one typewritten, page of notes on how to use it. People won't pay money for that. Okay, so we created a vision map, and we turned it into recipe cards. We had a wallet with the cards in it, the color of cards. You take the cards out of one side of the wallet, put it into the other side. When a card's gone, you can't eat that. So now I'm relegated. At the end of the day, all I have left are maybe a few veggie cards or some fruit cards. But all my meats are gone and so on. Brilliant. Okay? Then we thought, okay, let's make the package a little nicer. Let's put recipe cards in it. Let's create a cookbook. Okay? Let's do that. So we started just building on that package, and we did this all in a vision map. Well, if we're going to create recipe cards, we got to have pictures, so we got to have a photographer. We have to have a great food photographer, not any photographer. So that became a task. Find the best food photographer you can find. Okay? Find the best nutritionist. So as we do these recipes, we make sure we have nutritional recipes, not just recipes that'll help you lose weight, but that'll be good for your body at the same time. So we recruited one of the world's great nutritionists in putting this package together. But you see, we had it all mapped out. We knew the steps we had to take. We knew the goals. We knew the tasks. Guess what? We did over $150 million in Dill-A-Mill. One of my closest friends in life was an assistant minister at a Baptist church in Texas. And he had a vision. He had great material on marriage. And his vision was to someday write a book on marriage to really help stop the insanity of divorce that we see plaguing our nation today. I saw his material on marriage and thought, wow, there's not just one book there. There's two books, one for men and one for women. And so I called Gary up one day and I said, how'd you like to write two books on marriage? He goes, Steve, I've been praying for that for 10 years. I said, really? I said, well, now we're going to do it. And I'm going to create a commercial, see if it works. And if it works, then we'll, I've got an idea of the celebrities, and then you and I will write it, but we'll have to write them fast. And he said, well, how fast? And I said, well, the way I figure we'll have about 60 days to write both books, so 30 days a book. Well, if you knew how people write books, I mean, you don't write a book in 30 days. But we would have a television deadline. But we created a vision map, okay? The commercial worked. Gary and I held up in a hotel room for 60 days, and 60 days later, we had these two books. Both books became international bestsellers, selling over 1 million copies each. But more important, they helped countless families, and they launched Gary's marriage and counseling seminars and his counseling center. He has since created more than 36 international bestsellers. His tapes, his videotapes, have sold more than 8 million copies. He has helped tens of millions of homes. They're on the tapes are in every military base in the United States. They're on every ship. The military really attached to them. But all of that came because we vision mapped his desire to fulfill that one dream, and that was to write two books on marriage. He had had the vision for 10 years. It was turned into reality in 60 days once we had a vision map. So that's the power of vision mapping. Okay, we've said enough about vision mapping. Let's see how it works now. I'll give you a couple examples out of my life, and then I'm going to ask you guys to take one of your dreams, and we will go ahead. We won't go through the whole process of vision mapping the dream, but we'll at least take one dream, one goal, convert that goal into specific steps, and take one of those steps and convert that step into tasks. So here's the triple-barreled power of the vision mapping process. The vision mapping process will empower you to achieve 3 powerful benefits in your life that nothing else will. Number 1, it will enable you to transform vague, blurry, or abstract dreams into perfectly clear, well-defined visions. Number 2, it will make your impossible dreams possible and your possible dreams probable. See, that's a big difference. Your possible dreams right now, you won't even achieve most of those. But this will make those dreams probable. You'll have a much greater probability of actually seeing them happen than you will of not seeing them happen. And those dreams which are impossible to you, all of a sudden will become possible. So that's the second one. Third, the process will enable you to expand your dreams and to achieve them far more quickly. So you won't just achieve what you've already dreamed, you'll achieve beyond that, and you'll do it in record time. So that's the power of the vision mapping process. Now in our last session, like I say, our 2 preliminary steps. Number 1, defining the important areas of your life. Number 2, prioritizing those areas. Now it's time to get to where the rubber meets the road. Now those 2 steps give you the approximate location of your dreams. Okay, you know if they're East Coast, West Coast, middle of the country. They show you how close or how far away they are. They also show you how important it is to you and to what you want to achieve with your life. So it puts it in that priority. Now don't worry if you have lots of those dreams and destinations or you only have a few. It doesn't matter. Because if you have a lot, the less important ones, they'll fall by the wayside. You won't even end up mapping those out because this takes a little work. Or if you only have a few, as you start this process over a period of days, weeks, even months, years, more dreams will come in. As you achieve some of these dreams, that really makes you want to use this process with more dreams and more visions. Okay? So once again, remember from yesterday, the richest and wisest man who ever lived said, without a vision, the people perish. Well, this is bringing vision back into your life, into your marriage, into your job, into your career. And when we bring vision into it, it does just the opposite of create the dying process. It brings life, energy, joy, excitement, commitment, motivation, trust. All those things happen as we begin to gain a real vision and we map those visions out. Okay, now your vision mapping journal, remember, it looks intimidating. Okay? You think, holy mackerel, I don't want to start that. This is not done over a day, a week, a month, a year. This is a lifetime journal. So it's not intimidating. One person that was in our last session, and she's here today, she said, well, it was easy for me to define the important areas of my life, and it's even easy for me to go ahead and list the dreams that I'd like to do. But how do I go from there? That's what intimidates me. Well, that's because of her personality type. See, if she was a beaver, she wouldn't be intimidated. But because of her personality type, it does intimidate. In fact, 3 of the 4, it will intimidate. It's like, oh, how do I even know how to break a dream into goals and goals into steps and steps into tasks? Well, you're going to know because you're going to get lots of practice. You're going to see me convert one of my dreams and do the dream conversion process. And then you're going to see how some of these people do it. We're going to just do it once or twice, and you'll see how easy it is. Now, one of the things you can do as you begin to map out your dreams and convert it to goals and steps is you can recruit outside resources. You can go to other people, counselors, friends, relatives, bosses, peers, who's ever involved in that dream or who it relates to, and you say, you know what? I have a dream and here it is. What do you think my goals should be? How can I break that into goals? What do you think? You have any ideas? And you start brainstorming. Well, you probably have to do this first. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And somebody else says, well, you need to do that. Yeah, that's another one, see? It comes. But what happens is the more you do it, the more second nature it becomes. You vision map 1 or 2 dreams, you're good for life. You'll be able to vision map anything. And you'll learn how to recruit outside resources. Other people are great in this process. Why? They see blind spots we don't. And a lot of times it's a blind spot that'll derail a dream. So when they see that blind spot, you then can create tasks and goals and steps to get around that blind spot or that obstacle. So it really works. This really will change your life. Don't be intimidated by it. It's a lifetime book. Okay, so now you've defined the most important areas of your life, and you've listed and prioritized dreams for those important areas. So what do you do next? Well, you turn to the top tab in your vision mapping journal that says goals. And in that, you have a dreams to goals page, okay? And you'll take that page out and you put it in the area of life that you want to vision map first for the first dream. So whatever your most important dream is that you want to see made reality, you're going to take a goal page out of here and you're going to put it. So you go to section number 1, the most important area of your life. And please, this is for you. If you say, hey, I'm supposed to be spiritual, so my relationship with God is number 1, but in reality, relationship with God's way down about number 7, don't make it number 1. If number 1 is your business or career, go ahead and say that. This is for you. Your minister's not going to check it. Your wife's not going to check it. Your husband's not going to check it. This is for you. So in your vision mapping journal, you would go to your first area where you have your dream index, and you'd go ahead. You're going to start your first dream. So you take a dream page out of the top tab. See, top tab, first top tab is a dream page. You take one of those out, and you would put it into this section, the side section, where you're going to build dreams in that area. Now, you've defined your dream on your dream page, what you really want. Next, and this is the first step, actual step, you're going to take a dreams to goal page out, and you're going to put that behind that dream. And that's going to convert that specific dream into specific goals. So that's the first step of the vision mapping process. Now, to help you understand this, I'm going to give you an example out of my own life. My dream was to create a book focusing on the wisdom and strategies taught by the richest and wisest man who ever lived. His name was King Solomon, became king of Israel at the age of 12. And that was my goal, was to really share the wisdom he gives in the book of Proverbs with the world and make it so they could really understand it and so they could apply it to their daily life, because the wisdom's unbelievable. Every strategy you're learning here you can find in the book of Proverbs. Every mistake I've ever made in my life, personal, financial, business, every major mistake where I've really blown it, tremendous failures, you can see where I violated the strategies given in the book of Proverbs. And so I really wanted to share that with the world. And so that became my vision, that became my dream. And of course, now we got to convert that into goals. So here are the goals that we created. I always say we because I feel it's either me and somebody else or me and the Lord. I don't create my dreams all by myself. I don't vision map them all by myself. And I don't want to ever take credit for them, because all of these things that we think about, when we use our mind, that's a gift. It's a huge gift. We've already discovered our computer can do things that no other computer can do. That's a gift. It was put there by somebody, and therefore that somebody has to get a little bit of credit. So anyway, the first thing I needed to do was to write a treatment describing the scope of the book and summarizing each chapter. That's the first thing I had to do, so I'd be able to decide what's going to be in the book. Next, I wanted to circulate the treatment to publishers. See if there's any interest. Why write a book nobody's going to publish, right? And then I was going to need to negotiate a distribution deal with one of those publishers. Why is that a goal? Because that takes time. That's a real thing you've got to do if you want to publish a book. You not only need to find a publisher that wants to do it, you got to negotiate a good deal. Why? You want them to be committed to your book. You don't want it to be something that's a ho-hum book. Hey, we need one more title, let's do Steve's. No, you want it to be something that they go, whoa, we got this book. Man, let's see how we can promote it and publicize it and really get it out there. So that's the kind of thing you do in the distribution deal. Another goal, these aren't necessarily in order, but these are the goals, is that I need to write a first draft of the book. I'm going to have to do that. You can't, sell a book if you don't write it. So you got to write a draft. Then you've got to edit the book and complete the final draft, and that's a process that goes back and forth with the publisher. So there's only 5 goals to getting a book published, written and published. I only had to break it into 5 goals, not 500. See, so it's not that hard. But the next step, I have to take each of those goals and convert each goal into specific steps. Why? Because none of us go from goal to goal, because the distance between 2 goals is huge. It might be as far as the Grand Canyon. It might be 10 feet. Well, I don't know anybody with a 10-foot stride. But if the first rung on the ladder is 1 foot up and the next run's 10 foot, I'm not going to be able to climb the ladder. I've got to break it down into goals. Goals give me more chewable steps, more achievable steps. So we're going to break down each goal into steps. I'm not going to do that here, but we're going to take one of my goals and break it into steps. Okay, are you with me so far? Is it clear? Are you understanding how you do it? Not hard. See, it wasn't complicated. I just had to figure out what has to be done to write the book. Now, let's take one of those goals. So to do that, you'd go to the Steps tab in your Life Notebook, and you'd pull out a page that says Goals to Steps. Logical? You're going to put that behind any goal you want to achieve. So we'll take one of my goals. Okay, so in this example, the first goal of writing the book was to create a treatment that I could circulate to the publishers. Well, a treatment's about a 30 to 40 page summary of what's going to be said in the book in general, as well as in each chapter, so they can get an idea for what you're doing. Okay, well, that's just one goal, but how do we convert that into steps? We go ahead and move to the goals to steps pages, pull it out, you put it behind that goal, and then we simply convert it to steps. Here are the steps that I came up with. Number 1, I had to organize the teachings of the book of Proverbs into specific categories that would be determined by the strategies and concepts that are taught in those Proverbs. And as it turned out, I organized it into 46 categories. Second step was to organize those categories according to their practical application. I didn't want to share Proverbs that were just nice thoughts or general principles, but really which ones could really have practical applications to your daily life, both at work and at home. The third step was to determine which categories to include in the book. 46 categories, that's 3 books at least, not 1 book. So I went ahead and found the 15 categories I liked the most. and that became the basis of the book. Next, I had to organize those categories into specific chapters, give them a nice chapter title. Chapter titles are important. People decide which chapters they're going to read first, not based on whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, but what is the title, oftentimes in a nonfiction book. Then I had to outline each chapter. What am I going to say specifically in that chapter? Which proverbs am I going to use to make that outline come alive and to make those concepts come alive? So I had to do that. Number 6, write a 1 to 2 page sample of how I actually deal with that writing and actually put it into the narrative as if you were reading the book. Why do I do that? So they can see my writing style. Number 7, I needed to write a 3 to 7 page executive summary. Why do I do that? Well, my books usually go to the top of the publishing house first. So senior vice president usually decides, do we want Steve's book on this subject or not? And they don't have a lot of time. They definitely don't have time to read the manuscript before they pass it on to a senior editor and say, hey, why don't you look at this? So I give them that executive summary, so just literally in 3 to 7 pages, the shorter the better usually, they can say, okay, that's really interesting. Man, he's got some good hooks there. So then they pass it on to a senior editor. The senior editor then reads the whole treatment and calls me and says, wow, I like this. Tell me what else you have in mind. So in writing and getting the book published, there were only 5 goals. We've now taken one of those goals and converted it into specific steps that need to be accomplished. Can you see how I'm now seeing what I need to do this? You know, it's no longer just a vague dream. Write a book on Proverbs. No, now I'm seeing what I have to do. Now the next step is to take any complex step. What is a complex step? It's a step that requires more than one task. Okay? There are some steps that only require a single task, so that you don't need to break that down. But oftentimes, steps themselves require multiple tasks, so that we then turn to the top tab that says tasks on it, and we pull a steps to task page out of that and put that behind our step that we're going to break into tasks. Now you're thinking, wow, this is so complex, this takes so much time. I can vision map a dream in about an hour. The first time you do it, it might take you 2 hours. But the difference is I'm going to accomplish my dreams. How many of you have had bestsellers that have been written, published, and you can go to Doubleday, Random House, Simon & Schuster, and they get excited when you come in their door. The only reason I can do that is A, I've got a message that's a good message, and I have nothing to do with my message. I'm the big receiver. I'm the big empty glass that a lot of people have poured neat things into my life, and out of that's come a life message, and out of that comes a book, but it first has to be vision mapped. When you apply this process to even your most important dreams that are 3,000 miles away, you can see I'm starting to get close. Do you think I'm getting some hope that I'm actually going to write a book on the book of Proverbs? Yeah, it's happening. Okay, so now we take one of those steps and convert it into tasks. Let me go back to an analogy. When you define your dream, that's determining the location. It's 3,000 miles away. It's Disneyland, okay? Now we converted that dream into specific goals, and we've taken those goals and converted those into steps. That's given us the super highways that we need to take. That's given us the road atlases that get us from our house into Anaheim, California. Now we're going to need a street map. One that gives every little street that we have to turn down to come to the entrance of Disneyland. Okay? Well, that's what this last step does. It fills in the little streets that we have to take. You've got to take those little streets. You just can't go from Anaheim Airport to Disneyland unless you have a helicopter. Okay? You've got to go on some side streets. So, in the vision mapping process, we simply take any complex step, we convert it into specific tasks. So back to our example, I'm going to take the third step of the first goal and convert that into tasks. The dream was to write the book, or to create the book. Goal number 1 was to write a treatment. Step number 3 was to determine which categories to include in the book. Now, here's the specific tasks that have to be completed to complete that step. Number 1, I have to prioritize the categories into a priority that I believe readers would be most interested in learning. Number 2, I have to show those categories to my literary agent and get their input. I actually have 2 agents, get their input on, do you like the categories I've selected? But that's a task. That takes time. It doesn't just happen. I have to make it a task. I'm going to have to make a phone call, send to FedEx, have them read it, get the phone call back. That's a task. Next, I want to show the categories to my friends. See, I like lots of input. Why? The richest and wisest man in the world that ever lived, he said, in a multitude of counselors, there's success. But without counsel, you will surely fail. So I like to bring in lots of outside opinions. I show it to single women, single men, businessmen. I show it to housewives. I show it to career women. And I say, okay, tell me what categories you really like. Oh man, I really like that one. That one's okay, but I really like that one. And I get those. So I got 46 categories and I want to trim to 15. See? So I take all that input. That takes time. That's a task. Number 4, show the categories to women, married, single, and divorced, both homemakers and professional, and see which categories they like the most, which ones they're drawn to, which ones they're more likely to read. The 5th and final task was to study the results and determine which of the 46 categories would actually become part of the 15-chapter book. Did that, and now the book's published. So it all worked out just like it should have. I mean, I stayed on target, accomplished. I mean, just to do the research to divide Proverbs into 46 categories, that was one task. That took a while. Okay, but it happened and it's really turning out great. So that shows you the first 4 steps of the vision mapping process. We took our dream, we converted it into specific goals. We take each goal, convert those into steps. We take each complex step, convert those into tasks. There's only 1 step left in the vision mapping process. You've done 4 out of 5. The 5th step is one that some people love and some people hate, but you got to do it or it's all for naught. Would you ever go on a vacation without a schedule? Say no. You know where you want to be on day 1, where you want to be on day 2, where you want to be on day 3 and 4, where you're going to be on day 6 and day 7, you know you got to be at the airport on time. You have a schedule. That's why you're able to do a lot of fun things in only 7 days. Well, your dreams are more important than your vacation, so you're going to have to put a schedule to it. Now, there's 2 ways to schedule it, to put your target dates. Normally, if there's no deadline, okay, nobody's saying you have to get this done by such and such a day, you start at the bottom. You start at the first task with the first step. And you go ahead and put a date on your tasks. Then it will automatically happen. Okay, I need 1 day to do that. I'll do this on such and such a day. Then I'll need another day to do that, and I'll do that on such and such. Pretty soon, you've got all the tasks dated, and your first step is done. Now you go to the next step, the next from the bottom, and you're going to go ahead and target date those. Target dating will take you 5 or 10 minutes, at least, because you got to think it through. Sometimes you got to have a calendar. But you're going to put a target date on it. Now, if you're under a deadline, if you're applying this to a project a boss has given you. By the way, do you know when you bring the vision mapping process into a project at work, you will perform it with a degree of excellence that nobody around you is used to seeing, and you will perform it within a deadline that nobody else could achieve. I mean, that's the power of this. It changes everything, absolutely everything. Okay, when there is a deadline, you do just the opposite. You start at the top. Okay, I've got to have this done by March 13th, or I'm toast. Okay, now what I do, I don't do steps or tasks. I now look at the 5 goals that I have, and when I have to have each of those goals completed, okay, this is the first goal that has to be completed, or the last goal, so that's got to be completed by this date. Next has to be completed by that, and I go down to the bottom of the goals. Now I'm going to have to go to the steps and date those, and then the tasks and so on. So you're just working from top to bottom when there's a deadline. When there is no deadline, then you go ahead and go bottom to top. Now, here's when there is no deadline. This is real important. I want you to listen. You can always revise your target dates. Don't be hard on yourself. Do you know that's a phrase I tell my wife at least once a day? She'll start to get stressed out for something, and I'll go, honey, there's no deadline. It's okay. You don't have to get it done. She has 7 things on her to-do list and she's only done 3, and she starts to panic. It's okay. We'll put them off a week or 2. They're not that important. See? But if you don't have target dates at all, you'll never get it done. So we put the target dates down, but if there's no deadline, you're going to be flexible. You're going to be easy on yourself. Oh, I missed that one, but I know I can get it done by next week. So we changed it to next week. And you put big reminders on the calendar. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make this call. And you do that. But you be flexible. Otherwise, you'll be stressed out the kazoo when you don't need to. The only time you really have to stick to your target dates is when there's a deadline. Okay? See? It looks hard. It's not hard. It just takes a little time. You can vision map almost any dream in an hour. And a lot of dreams, if the destinations aren't 3,000 miles away, if it's a simple dream, you can usually vision map it in 10 or 15 minutes. And you say, well, that's 10 or 15 minutes I don't have. Do you want to accomplish the dream? If you're not going to vision map it, give up on the dream. Say, I'm going to accept a mediocre marriage. I don't care if my kids are going to rebel because they have a bad relationship with me. That's their problem. I'm not going to be a superstar at work. I don't want to be a superstar. I just want to get my paycheck. I want to get in 9 a.m., leave at 5 p.m., and hope that I don't get laid off when they make the next round of layoffs. Okay? So if that's your attitude, then you don't need to vision map. But if you want to achieve anything significant, you start to do it. Now, a lot of people say, well, do I vision map everything? Absolutely not. You only vision map that which is important. It takes time. But you do vision map that which is important. Now, for you at home, you've defined your dreams, at least one of them. So what you're going to want to do in a few minutes is you're going to want to do exactly what you've seen me do. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to ask for help here. And I'm going to see if there's any dreams that any of these folks have that we could vision map. And we won't do the whole dream. We're not going to go through the whole process, every goal and so on. But we'll take one dream, convert that into specific goals, and we'll take at least one goal, convert that into steps, and then we'll take at least one step and see what tasks would be involved, just so you can see it one more time before you go ahead and start to do this. Don't be afraid to screw up, okay? There is no such thing as screwing up on this. You're going to become more and more skilled at this skill. It's a learnable skill. Anybody can do it. A child can do it, but it takes time and practice, just like any other skill. Yes, Jan?
What if we have these goals, but we don't convert them into steps?
Well, if you don't convert them into steps, you won't take the steps. If you don't take the steps, you'll never achieve the goal. I'm talking about things that you really want to achieve, dreams. If you didn't have any limitations, if you could really have what you really want, what kind of goal would that be, or what kind of dream would that be? Well, to achieve anything worthwhile, anything significant, that kind of a goal, you've got to convert it into steps. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to ask you guys, tell me your dreams, or at least one of your dreams, and then we'll figure out which one we want to vision map. So tell me your dreams. Who wants to be first? Raise a hand. Go ahead.
I've always wanted to be a studio singer for like commercials and jingles and things like that.
Okay, great dream. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
To become a successful personal fitness trainer.
Oh, great dream. Man, that's, you know what I like about that? It's really specific. We know his personality type from the personality test. I'm looking at the way he dresses. I'm listening to his voice, and I'm going to tell you right now, that is not only an achievable dream, that is so achievable you won't even believe it when you vision map it. Piece of cake, okay? And we're going to do that. Anybody else? Yes, Darcy?
I'd like to learn to speak Spanish fluently.
Okay, good dream, nice, clear, specific. Anybody else? Yes.
A better relationship with my children.
First step to being a great parent, have a happy marriage. Gary Smalley says that the single most important step to being a good parent, if you can, is having a happy marriage. Why? Because it brings security. You say, oh no, I'm divorced. Well, you know what you do then if you're divorced? You go ahead and you make sure that you don't badmouth your spouse to your child, that you really encourage that relationship and make that strong too, because that's where the security comes. And security is the basis of a good parent-child relationship. It's the foundation. It's only the foundation, but without it, it's really hard to be successful in parenting. But that's a great dream. the nice thing is we can vision map that, and I promise you, that's not even a question. That is a dream you can't achieve. Absolutely, positively. But we got to vision map it, because otherwise it's so general that you'll just do what comes naturally. And doing what comes naturally, of the 4 ways we pursue dreams, remember, drifter, pursuer, achiever, superachiever. So doing what comes naturally is what? A drifter. It's going with the flow. You will not become a better parent through drifting. Okay, so let's try to vision map Mac's dream. Okay, so state your dream one more time.
To become a successful personal fitness trainer.
Okay, now, that's your dream. So the first goal is to define what a successful personal trainer is. Now, there's 2 ways to define it. One is with your imagination, but the other way is with an example of someone who's already achieving what you want to achieve. Okay? Now, I've worked with personal trainers in Hollywood, for example, and there's 2 or 3 that work with the biggest names in Hollywood. And they get those jobs because they are so effective. So goal number 1 is for you to determine what a successful personal trainer looks like, what they do that really makes them successful. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to get a job that will pay you to be a personal fitness trainer. So that'd be goal number 2. Goal number 3 that I can think of is to research the type of equipment and the type of workouts that bring about the most effective results the most quickly and the most safely. Because I know a little bit about fitness, not because I'm physically fit, but one of the companies I own with my partners is a company called Total Gym. That's the one with Chuck Norris and Christy Brinkley. So I know we're always looking for how we can make that product even more effective so that people can spend less time working out, because the big objection to getting fit, the single greatest objection, is time.
Exactly.
The second greatest objection is work. You know, work's hard, fun's easy. So people usually they can always find time for fun, but they can't always find time for work. So what you have to do, if you want to be the best or you want to be highly successful, you've got to find a workout routine that is fun, effective, and efficient. Okay? So these are goals. Another goal is a goal on how you're going to build your customer base. Because you can be the best trainer in the world, but if you only have one customer, you're not going to be successful. So what do you need to do to really build that customer base? Where are you going to find your customers? Are you going to rely on somebody else? No. You're going to take responsibility to build your own client list. So that becomes a goal. So can you see, we're taking this dream, it's a good dream, but if we don't have specific goals, it's only going to stay a dream. But you're getting a nice list of goals here. Maybe after lunch, you and I can sit down and we'll work out the rest of the goals. But now let's take one of those goals and turn it into steps. What was the first goal you had?
Determine what a successful trainer would be.
Okay, good. So now what you're going to do, here are the steps. Step number 1, build a list of highly effective physical trainers. Now that list is going to include people in your own geographical location, in the town you live in. It's going to include people that are beyond that. Okay, for example, one personal trainer wrote a book that became a great bestseller called Body for Life,
Body for
Bill
Life.
Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's another trainer. Obviously, he's highly successful. You want to be a highly successful trainer. What did he do? Not what did he do in general. He wrote a book. What was his system? Because all those before and afters that he shows in that book are done in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
One of our goals, what's efficient, fun, effective? 12 weeks is a pretty short time to transform your body. This guy did it. So that's going to be that's one of the steps you're going to have to take for this goal. What did Bill Phillips do with his workout and diet regimen? But he's only one. There's other Hollywood trainers and national trainers that are online. You can find them online.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do your homework. Okay? So that's a step. Now we convert that step into tasks. You're going to buy his book. You're going to read it. And then you're going to break it into the essentials. Specifically, what did he do?
Nutrition, exercise.
See?
Everything.
Then you're going to say, how can I apply that to my personal training of other people? So those are specific steps. Now you have a task. You got to go buy a book. You got to get a pencil and paper, and you got to allocate the time to do it. So we've had a dream. We've had a set of goals. We've taken our first goal, created steps. We've now taken one step. We've broken it down to tasks. What's the first thing you're going to do?
Go out and buy the book.
Yeah. See? He's going to get that much closer when he buys that book and he reads it and he then does the other task, which is breaking it down to his essential elements. He's going to go, wow, this forever will be with me. I'm going to keep this in front of my mind anytime I go to train anybody. And now one of my catchphrases, I'm going to say, how'd you like to change your body in 12 weeks? Give me 12 weeks and I'll give you or you the body you want. But I need 12 weeks. I don't need 24 hours a day for 12 weeks. Like Bill Phillips, I only need 20 minutes a day. Can you give me 20 minutes a day for 12 weeks? To change your body, to get the body you've always wanted and never had? Look at these before and afters. Use his if you're going to use the same system. They're no better than you. They can do exactly what you want to do. 12 weeks, 20 minutes a day. I'm only going to meet with you 3 days a week because the other days of the week you're going to do it on your own. But let's get started. See?
Yeah.
Now you take that first step. You got look at the tasks that have been completed. Now there's hope. See? Now it's not just a dream. Now there's hope. You've actually taken your first step. You're moving down the goal. It's become an engine for you. That's how it works. Was it hard? Did it take us an hour? No. We can go into a lot more detail. He and I could meet for a half hour, and man, we could have the whole thing vision mapped out. And then he could put target dates on it. Now, sometimes we're not disciplined enough to actually meet the target date. So you know what we do? We do what Solomon said. We make ourselves accountable to other people. So he says either to a boss, a friend, a spouse, he says, hey, I've got this target date, but it means I've got to put some time in. I got to get some reading time on this Bill Phillips book. Will you hold me accountable? Will you make sure, honey, before I go to bed, I've spent 20 minutes a night reading it until I'm done? And his wife says, sure, I can do that. And she asks you, and you say, oh, I'm too tired. I haven't had enough time. Well, you want to throw the dream away, or do you want to reach your dream? I want to reach it. Well, take 20 minutes out. I'll turn on the news. You go in the other room and read. See? Now you got accountability. That's a tremendous source of power, and we're going to get into that in one of our other strategies. But can you see? You came here with a dream. Now we're going to turn it into reality. You really can. And that's what you guys can do with any dream you have. Okay, let's take one more person and vision map just an aspect of your dream. Oh, okay, Christy, what's yours?
A better relationship with my children.
Okay. Like I said earlier, that one's great. And that one's really doable. So the dream is a better relationship with your children, but let's go ahead and define it more clearly. So remember, dreams are vague, visions are clear and defined. Tell me what you mean by better.
Well, I think time-wise, I probably don't spend enough time with them individually. They're getting older. The time where they're going to be moving away from home is rapidly approaching.
Okay.
So just like to spend more time with them.
Boys, girls, what are they?
1 girl and 2 boys.
Okay, 1 girl, 2 boys. Okay, so let's make the dream this, because we want it clear and precise. You want a better relationship
Okay.
with your 2 boys and your girl.
Yeah.
One which gives you more quality time. Do you want more fun times to build memories, or more times to, what do you want? Tell me.
Probably more fun time.
Okay, good. More fun times and more quality time. Good communication. So now we've got a vision. Okay? So now, first goal, learn what it would take for my children to set aside time for me. That's goal number 1.
That's goal number 1.
Okay?
Okay.
Goal number 2, learn what it takes to be a great parent for this age group. Okay? Because you don't want to just be good, you want to be great,
True.
right? Okay. Number 3, discover my children's greatest needs
Okay.
that I can help fulfill.
Okay.
And number 4, discover my children's dreams that I can help them vision map.
Okay.
So we've got those 4 goals. Man, you achieve those 4 goals, and I guarantee you, your parent, you are then achieving your dream. So now let's take at least one of those goals. So one of your goals was to discover your children's dreams. The way you do that, that starts, the first step is to interview that child.
Okay.
Each child, not together, not in a family setting, but
Right.
one-on-one.
Right.
And so that's the step, is to listen to what my child's dreams are.
Okay.
Okay, now let's convert that step into tasks.
Okay.
Task number 1, find a time that's convenient for both me and for my child. Now, why is that important? If I don't carve out the right time, if I say, hey, you're going to skip football practice today and we're going to talk about your dreams,
Yeah.
that's not going to work.
No.
See, what may not be important to you in timing may be very important to them. So if they come to that time with you at the sacrifice of doing something they really wanted to be doing, a picnic with a friend or a party or going to a movie or something, and now they got to be with mom about their dreams, you don't have their mind there. So you want to operate from their frame of reference. So task number 1 is to figure out a time where you can say, hey, I need a half hour with you. Let's pick a time where we can go to lunch, go to dinner, just you and me. What's good for you? And they'll say, well, I'm not doing anything, tonight or tomorrow or such and such. You say, great, let's go ahead and do that. And then you go ahead and carve it out. So that's your task to come, okay? Now, another task is to go into that meeting with the right questions. Why? If you're talking about your boys, here's the conversation. What are your dreams? I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay? See, you got to go with the right questions. So you've got to come up with the questions that you're going to ask. You have to go with the motivation. So a motivation might be, another task is to figure out what's going to motivate them to want to tell this to mom. See? So what's going to motivate them? That becomes a task to discover that. Well, what's going to motivate them is knowing that what they really have a dream for, what they really want to achieve, you're now going to purpose to help them achieve that. Okay? They want to be a better football player. You're going to find a high school student or a college student that has some spare time, and you're going to say, hey, how would you like to, you're going to ask your son, how would you like to have some time, just you and somebody who's, if he's in junior high, somebody who's played football in high school. If it's in high school, somebody who's played football in college. Gee, Mom, can I really do that? Yeah, let's find somebody together. We'll find somebody during the off season, or they're injured and they can't work out. We're gonna start interviewing. You're gonna create a vision map with that person. See, you're gonna motivate them from their frame of reference. When we get into the communication strategies that we use and the communication techniques, you're gonna learn how to communicate with your child in a way that really makes them want to hear what you have to say and makes them want to do what you really want to do without manipulation or fear. I mean, that's just all good communication. So we're going to learn that. But now we've taken your dream, we've taken one goal, we've converted it into steps, we've taken one step and we've converted it into tasks. First task is, first you're going to create what you're going to say in that time, okay? Second, you're going to interview your son or daughter and pick out a time when you can meet one-on-one with them. So it doesn't take long to do this. And if she needs help in doing this, she doesn't need to call Steve Scott. She can consult parenting books written by Dr. James Dobson, one of the world's experts on child psychology. He's got lots of books. One is called Bringing Up Boys, a book every mother who has boys should read, Bringing Up Boys. It's great. It gives you tremendous insights into how boys think and why they act the way they do, okay? And it's really liberating for a parent, because then you find out, hey, it's not me screwing up, it's just them being a boy, okay? So that's good, but that's one more thing that you can add to your task list, see? For dealing with girls, You're going to have to, maybe you do research on the internet, you find somebody who's been real successful raising daughters. You might know a neighbor. You may see somebody who has a great relationship with their kids. It's a mom. And you go and interview them. That becomes one more step. Find other moms who are already achieving what I want to achieve. You know, I know one mom, and she just makes an effort to have so much fun with her kids. It's unbelievable. She's one of the most fun moms in the neighborhood. And so you would go to her, say, Stacy, how do you do it? How do you, you know, or Shannon, how do you get kids? How do you make them so excited that they want to be at your house instead of their house? Because our house is just kind of a melting point for my son's friends. And it's partly because, a big part, because mom makes it so fun. She's got fun stuff all over the house that she does. So those are things that you're going to do. But see, you've taken a general dream that if you don't vision map it, it will stay there until the time is gone. Your kids have left home. You say, where did the time go? I can't believe my kids grew up so fast. But now you're going to do something about it. Okay, that's a great example. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. I want you to do the exercises at the end of your workbook and go ahead and start mapping out those dreams. Just pick one dream. Don't start. You don't have to do everything at once, but just start the exercise in one of the more important dreams. Just break it into some goals and take at least one goal, move that into steps, take at least one step, move it into tasks, just so you can see that you can do it. Everybody here today has seen that's a process that looked hard and intimidating. It really isn't. It just takes a little time and effort, and when you do that, it takes that which will never be achieved, the impossible, and it turns it into probable. She's going to become a better mom. He's going to become a very successful personal fitness trainer. I absolutely guarantee, unless he gets sick or hit by a car or something, but applying that process, that will happen in your life. Okay? All you have to do is map it out. Okay, thanks. In our next session, we're going to look at an approach that is completely opposite of what the world teaches you. High school, college, motivational speakers, companies that train, that do personal training and success, they all teach one myth that is just the opposite of what superachievers do. Superachievers approach goal setting from one perspective. Everybody else in the world approaches it from a completely different setting. Just the opposite, totally contrary to what superachievers do. So these people achieve their goals. They achieve significant goals. These people achieve their impossible dreams and extraordinary outcomes. These people become millionaires, billionaires, okay? These people become successful employees of billionaires and millionaires, okay? So that's the difference. It's a whole different approach to goal setting. It's one that completely changed my life, and it's going to change your life. In fact, I shared this one program with one of the top trainers of the #1 personal coaching and training company in the United States. They train Fortune 500 company executives, every one of them. And when this person saw this, this was their top trainer, he said, wow, this changes everything. Steve, this changes everything. And then I showed it to their #2 trainer, which was a female. Her comment was, this changes everything. It changes everything. Guess what? It changes everything. Changes the way you parent, changes the degree of success you achieve on the job. Your home-based business, you're not going to be able to contain it in your home when you apply vision mapping and what we're going to learn in our next session.